Hey guys, in this video I will talk about this book. This book, The Nazi Doctors, I have recently started. For the last, a couple of years, I had this, wish to read something on Nazism. Previously, I had read extensive literature on Nazism, on Hitler, on Göring, on Goebbels, on Heinrich Heydrich. I beg my pardon, it's Reinhard Heydrich, who was the Gestapo chief. And then I have read about Heinrich Himmler, who was the Reich Commissioner of Police, and he had, innumerable institutions, especially police institutions under him. So this uh, period of German history, I always, found a unique interest in reading this literature. I don't know for what reason, but whenever I read this, I I feel like that I have gained something, and it is necessary to read and understand what happened in those time periods when state used its power in a negative way and brutally crushed the citizens, and especially some particular segments of society, especially Jews, gypsies, handicapped people, disabled people, and how the state crushed all those people, their dreams, desires, and their families. So how the Hitler administration brutally oppressed all those peoples in thousands of different ways, and oppressed them, tortured them, and put them into gas chambers. Earlier used very brutal methods like shot them at gunpoint, and that was messy. And there is that particular group when the Hitler started moving toward east, so Einsatzgruppen. So the pronunciation is very weird. I beg my pardon for that. But yes, talking about this, there are so many things that maybe I am rushing up the things, but there are extensive literature. There are endless number of things that I want to talk uh, about Nazism, and especially now as I have started this book. So Nazi Doctors, from the title, it is very clear that this book is about the Nazi machinery, how Nazi doctors treated their patients, how they misused their authorities, and how they handled the orders, and brutally and unpardonably killed thousands of the patients who were completely dependent on them. So this book is very interesting. This is just one area of total Nazism, how they oppressed, how they tortured thousands. I am just underestimating the numbers here. They have killed millions of people. So they have destroyed families of millions of people, those people who had their dreams, aspirations. It's interesting, just imagine that. Just imagine even one person, just imagine yourself, right? Just if I imagine myself, so many dreams, aspirations, and life journey, and so much experiences. We have a rich experience of life, whether good or bad, that is separate. But suddenly if someone crushes them and someone puts you in a gas chamber and just kill you, everything is gone. So that was the most deadly part of Nazi empire. So in this book, the author of this book is Robert Lee Lifton. I'm sorry, it's Robert J. Lifton, as you can see. Robert J. Lifton. He is a psychiatrist, he is a psychologist, and he has written this book from psychological angle, and he has interviewed numerous Nazi doctors, as well as Jewish doctors under Nazi empire, and they were helpless because when they were under the Nazism, they had no option, but they had to assume the position and treat the patients, maybe kill the patients, because they were helpless, those Jewish doctors under Nazism. So we cannot blame them. We can blame them, we cannot blame them. Both options are there. Which way you choose, it's up to you. But that was the situation, and they have their reasons to, justify themselves. But what about those Nazi doctors who intentionally killed, thousands of children, thousands of adult patients, and the system was messed up. It was brutally messed up, because when Führer, the Hitler, gave order that he wants to, racially clear the, society, racial purification. So these terminologies are, hideous. So when I read this book, I feel, very much crushed, because they are treating humans inhumanly by using, different terms. They are calling Jews vermins, like flies, like, filth. So this is just impossible. But I am talking about the time period of 1920s, 30s, and 40s. So at that time, the culture was different, the political system and environment was different. So how Hitler convinced Germans, and why Germans supported Nazism initially, so that is very surprising. So one important point here is that at that time period, I just talked about society, environment. So environment is very important, society and culture is very important. So we have to be, that's what I personally think, that we have to be very much careful what kind of system or society we are living in, what kind of culture we are practicing. Because in the whole world there are, tons of different cultures. Some cultures are so mysterious, so, different, that you can't even imagine. But still, those are cultures. There are some people who are practicing those cultures, and some cultures are completely opposite from, each other. So what kind of culture you are living, so it is one's personal duty and responsibility to understand that and take some action. So why it is important? Because an individual, when the individual is a child, when, he is under that impressionable age, first he gets influenced by the culture. But later on, when he becomes an adult, through his philosophy, through his ideology and approach, then he or she influences the culture. So it happens back and forth. So it is the duty of the individual, when he is in the adult age, to, influence the culture and make sure that culture is healthy and productive. And it is the duty of every, single individual. It is not the duty of all those big leaders. It is the duty of every single individual. And every single person, I believe, has the resources, has the means to achieve this. And they might be creative in, in different ways. But every person, I believe, they have that, inherent capacity to make a mark and, change the system and society, when he or she notices that it is not productive, when the culture is declining. So culture declines and prospers. It's, it's always in circle, it's always in phases. So the individual's duty is prime most. That's what I, learn when I read the book, and try to, absorb and understand those ideas, and try to, implement in the current society, and what I can learn from those time periods, and how I can, relate the, age, the influence of age, the, the influence of time, how I can relate it, and, make corrections. So that's what I try to do. Maybe I am a little bit indecipherable, maybe I am a, I feel a little bit, senseless at this point in my explanation. But I can't do, anything about that. But the main point is, this book, if you read this, you will understand so many things. You will understand that how people, oppress their, countrymen, their neighbors, and they don't have any mercy. So it is in the nature of human being that he, and especially she, he or she, they always find a unique pleasure in the sufferings of their fellow human beings. It is, I don't know which impulse, which need is this in the human beings, that this impulse is present. It is there, it is active, maybe defunct at one time, maybe active at another time, but it is always there, it is always present in every human being. And this impulse is extremely dangerous, because just imagine that if someone is, someone is driving pleasure in the sufferings of others, so you can imagine what kind of state and what kind of society that is. Oh, so I might be digressing, but at this point I just want to, uh, stop, and would recommend simply that this is a nice book, and you should definitely grab this book up and try to read it and understand it, and I believe you will definitely like it.